Hey, it's the Red Rican. And I don't know if anybody's heard about the whole controversy with Richard Marks and the attack on, you could say, Rand Paul got a letter of white powder sent to him. The white powder thing came out harmless, but still, there was a threat to his life in the letter. Richard Marks, the washed up 80s artist, came out and said, "Yeah, I'm calling him names because, to be honest, Rand Paul was my first choice in the Republican primary in 20 for the 2016 nomination. Ted Cruz was second, and Donald Trump wasn't on my radar at all. But he turned out to be a much better president than I thought he would be." Um, with that being said, anyway, this is not about that. This is about, like I said, this is about Rand Paul, kind of, because I'm going to address that a little bit. Is the fact that, like I said, you have a washed up '80s artist trying to make himself relevant by praising um, his neighbor that attacked Rand Paul. People who don't know, Rand Paul was blindsided by his neighbor and attacked, where the neighbor broke like six of his ribs or something like that. He had to have multiple surgeries. He had infections that resulted in him having to get like parts of his lungs cut. So it wasn't something that was harmless. It was something where he almost died. It could have been something that could have upgraded. His charges could have been upgraded to murder. So that's you know that's part of the course. It's like Republicans get attacked. you know the Democrats love the reason why they love to bring up January 6th is because they have no other incidents to point to. They love to bring up January 6th because when else has when has the legitimate right protested anything like that? When have they done anything like that? They'll try to point to like events like Charlottesville, where us on the right, we condemned the tiki torch people. Saying, I forgot they were saying some, I forgot what the disgusting thing they said, but we on the right, we disassociated ourselves with that. It's not like what goes on with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, that the left, they embrace it and they support it. They don't reject their crazies. They're embracing that crazy part of their party. That's what's going on right now. So with that being said, what I wanted to point out is, just doing a quick Google search, I just wanted people to see the difference in articles. So here, if you come to Google and you search Republicans attacked by Democrats, here you got Republicans attack Democrats as liberal extremists. 35 Republicans join Democrats and blah blah. U.S. Capitol Attack Commission advances in Congress. And here's Democrats attacked by Republicans. Almost identical. There is really, like I said, there's not much that you could see there, but on both of them, I think, is it? Oh, no, okay. Like I said, you can see here is always January 6th, Capitol attack, blah 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 blah. Right, and I want you to remember the Capitol attack, and I want you to be like, no, look, listen, I'm going to show the whole nonsense, because they go, oh my God, it was an insurrection, it was armed. They even say it was an armed insurrection, which nobody got arrested for having weapons. Most of the people who've been arrested, who are, by the way, are still in jail right now because they've been given no bail, is the fact that they've been arrested for trespassing. And some of the video shows that's ridiculous because some of these people were allowed in. So, anyways, it's not this is not about the Capitol riot, but like I said, Just remember what happened and stuff. So like that, people could, when you're talking about an insurrection and all that stuff. But like I said, you can see here, there's not much. Um, you can't find anything because other than what like Republicans and people on the right, when we attack when we attack people on the left, we attack with words. We don't attack with fist and violence. We attack with words. And that's because for the most part, our ideas are better. And that's why they can't they have to attack physically. That's why they have to silence us, because at the end of the day, if you allow us to speak, eventually you could convince somebody, because that's the whole thing. If you have an open mind, if you're someone that's uh truly independent and has an open mind, and you hear both sides, you'll usually agree with the person who's on the right, just because the fact that for the most part, we usually lean toward the side of freedom. Lean toward the side of individuals versus government. There are some issues that like I said, it's not, 99% of the time. It's not, it's not absolute what I'm talking about. Um, but here I just wanted to show, this is an old article. This is from the Washington Examiner, and it goes 15 Democratic attacks, assaults, threats on Republicans. Because the other reason I wanted to point this out, because like I said, between the Richard Marks, Rand Paul, and AOC comparing the Capitol riot to her being in war and her having um, uh, PTSD, is like, if that gave her PTSD, then she's soft. Because, anyways, um, I'm just gonna go through some of these, and here goes. This is last year, but obviously this was from 2018. So this is in 2017. House Republicans practicing for a congressional baseball game were shot by a liberal supporter and volunteer for 2016 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. Sanders said he was sickened by the shooting and recently dismissed liberal charges that Trump was to blame for the Pittsburgh synagogue slayings. So, anyways, like I said, here's someone who literally was was a supporter of Sanders, and not mistaken, he had said this is for healthcare or something like that as he shot the Republicans. Can you tell me a time when there was a Republican supporter who did that to a bunch of uh, left leaning politicians? Oh, but tell me about the last time a left wing a right wing politician, like let's say right now, tell me someone in the House on the Republican side that's saying to if you see anybody in the cabinet from the Biden cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out there, you create a crowd, you push back on them and tell them they're not welcome there anymore. When do you have you seen someone in the House do that? Because you have Maxine Waters who did that. Uh, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she was kicked out of a restaurant. Can you tell me the last time uh, that happened to a Democrat? You can share the articles with me. I'd be glad to read them. Got no problem with that. Would even post them because I would like to see where I want to compare these situations, because that's the whole thing. There is there is no, you don't see this. That's why, like I said, that's why they always fall back to January 6th. You had the summer of love of riots, and like I said, you had people attacking a federal court building in Portland for months, and but that's not an insurrection against your government. So here's a couple of things that same thing. Let's see. I just want to point stuff out that's really egregious, like not some of the stuff that they have here. Um, So I wanted to, yeah, this is one. When Kavanaugh arrived at the Supreme Court to take his seat, a mob pounded on the doors of the Supreme Court, yelling, "No justice, no peace." So I just wanted, so they took over the court building. Let me see. I'm gonna play a little bit of this video here, so we could see what happened. These are live images, folks, at the doors of the Supreme Court, where you can see protesters have gathered. They are demanding that their voices be heard as they anticipate who person who will be the new Supreme Court Justice, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, be sworn in. So I wanted to show this is not the only time. There was also a time when before he got sworn in. Let me see if it's here. Uh do I still have that? Let me see here. Okay, here's another one. Here's like a 10-second clip. I just saw this earlier before I started recording. I just hope that YouTube doesn't do a commercial. So here they are in the Senate building. Is that the Capitol? So yeah, so you could see it's like they want to. Like I said, here they're sharing. Of course, I watched that, and of course, what did they go to? Uh, Reaching January. Then they got to go to January 6th. Which, if you're going to compare the two, please go right ahead because it's either one is just as bad. The only difference is, they didn't empty the Senate chamber when the other protesters did it because I don't know why, but so to me, you look at this and you see why they need to go to January 6th. That's why I was so angry when that happened because I'm like, we just gave them, we just gave it to them. We gave them something to club us with. That's what happened on January 6th because nothing was ever going to come from it. There was nothing was ever going to come from doing that type of from rioting like that. Nothing because it makes us look bad because you got to remember when I'll give you an example. I remember when I had first went away for college. I went to an basically majority white college. It was, let's say, 95, 90%, 96% white. And a lot of these people were from like rural parts of New York State. They had never met a Puerto Rican. So I knew that I had to be the ambassador to Puerto Rican. So I knew I couldn't do, there was things that I was limited that I could do. I couldn't be, because the fact that I was the first impression these people were going to have of Puerto Rican. So um, I had to show how good, we're great people. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say that, Um, but with that also being said, I also had, experienced some racism. I remember, I had my Puerto Rico stuff, and one of my college, one of my football teammates was like, "Oh, if you love Puerto Rico so much, why don't you go back to your country?" And I'm like, "Idiot! I am in my own country. Like Puerto Rico is part of the United States." And he was like, "Oh, I was just joking, man." I'm like, "Come on, look, I know ignorance when I hear it. I used to joke back and forth with an Italian friend of mine's, and that I knew was joking around because we had a relationship that we could joke around with each other like that. He'd make Spanish jokes, I'd make Italian jokes, but it was all love between us. So, um, but with that being said, what on my tangent there in the story is that's why I was pissed off about January 6th because you showed the worst of the people on the right by doing. There's another video. There's a video. Let me see if I can find it while I tell you what happened. There was a guy on January 6th that was complaining to the cops that they weren't stopping Let me see. Um, Protester complains. Wait, yells at cops for not stopping riot. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. So like that for the people who, probably haven't seen this video because this one doesn't go around that much. It's on January 6th. Oh my God, look at here you go. Oh, I did. Forgot he cursed. So, for the people who think that, because this is the whole thing, they keep pointing to January 6th, like everybody in the right supports what happened. When here's someone there that was yelling at the cops for not doing anything about it. It was literally, they were letting some of these people go in. They were, letting that guy take pictures in Nancy Pelosi's office and all that stuff. They let it happen. So, anyways, not about January 6th. Like I said, this is about, but you can see it's the threats and the attacks. It flows in one direction, but the media that's biased to one side always makes it that it's their side. That's the one that's always uh let me use their words, victimized. Okay, show me when there was a Republican supporter who went up and shot a bunch of Democrats. Like what happened? Show me a neighbor, a Republican neighbor who attacked a Democratic congressperson. Because I won't limit it to just Senate, like what happened with Rand, because he's in the Senate. But so that's what goes on. That's where the physical violence comes from. It's usually from the left, but that's not what you hear in the news. And um, you don't hear that on the news. It's always one sided. And that's why I always tell people, give me the news that tells me their political bias, that openly admits to their political bias. And to me, that's better than a news source that pretends to be objective and then all they do is lean left. So where we're gonna, where do we go? What do we do now? You see, you just showed you, some stuff, simple Google search. Anybody could do it. You could see, like I said, where's the physical attacks, Republican to Democrat? All of it is Democrat to Republican. You see these, like I said, you had all summer riots across the country, and the media supported it. You see it because they supported the cause. So you seen the famous picture of the lady behind a fiery building saying mostly peaceful protest. But you have 1 January, so you had that all summer going on for in some parts of the country 2-3 months. Some parts of the country it never stopped. It kept going, and it goes on to this day. You still have Antifa, in the Northwest, wilding out, but you don't hear it on the news so much. You'll hear it from the right wing news. You hear it from, if you go on Twitter and you follow like someone like Andy No, you see the stuff that's going on all the time. But it doesn't fit the agenda of a CNN who openly, you had Cuomo and Don Lemonhead, I should say Fredo, Fredo Cuomo and Don Lemonhead. Let me make fun of both of them. Openly supporting Antifa, saying, Antifa is just anti-fascist. Bull. They both, look, Antifa, this fascist, they're literally the irony behind them calling themselves Antifa is their tactics are the real fascist. They act like brown shirts. They're the basically the attack wing of the Democrat Party right now. So, anyways, like I said, so prove me wrong. If you're someone on the left, you come across my video, prove me wrong. Send me articles, send me links to stories where what I'm talking about. Stuff equivalent stuff that happened. Show me these articles because but it's not there. You can't find it. Maybe you'll find something where you know a super local story where an alderman or something attacked another alderman that it's like, okay, those local things. I'm talking about some, you had some crazy guy's neighbor attacked him, supposedly because of property stuff. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who talks here, complains about stuff, tries to wake people up on uh to the biases of to the biases of the media. And like I said, if I like I said, I admit my bias, I own it. I'm a former Democrat, grew up in a Democrat family household who, like I said, if you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me say I try to talk to my family all the time, but the programming is hard to crack. The programming is hard to crack. But like I said in my previous video, you have to take opportunities. You got to find those opportunities where you could crack that shell, because that's how we're going to fix stuff. And I'm just happy. I was watching I'm a big fan of Dan Bongino, and I was watching his show on his not his radio show, but his podcast show, and he talked about it. He talked about what I was talking about, where you have to you, not only do you have to get involved locally, but you also have to you know have conversations with your loved one, with your friends, to try to uh change their mind, because that's the only way we're going to fix the country. You got to not only do you fix your local politics, but you fix your what he was talking about with Jordan Peterson's, clean your room, or was it make your bed. You have to get your own house in order. The other analogy would be, when they tell you in a plane crash, put your mask on yourself before you put your kid's mask on, or your other loved one that needs it, because you do no good to your family if you're like passed out. But anyway, it's a different but similar analogy. You gotta clean your house. That's it. And I'm trying. It's a like I said, it's a tough nut to crack with years of democratic um indoctrination. That's what I'll call it, because that's what it is in these cities. Even though, like in New York, you had Rudy Giuliani clean up the city, but uh you had Rudy Giuliani cleaned up the city, and here you go. What you have to this year is going to be the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and people forget 20 years later. Look how New York City is regressing, going back to what it was pre Giuliani, and people vote for the same policies that's got you where you are right now. You have to scale back. Stop with these. You're going. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, and it's like you're voting the same people, the same policies. You brought them back, and you had the same. You're having the same results. But anyways, the right weekend. I put this on YouTube and Rumble, because you know you never know when YouTube's going to say stop. We don't want you anymore. Um, I'm probably not big enough for them to want to do that, but you never know. So, but you can also follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Gab. I also have a Telegram. So, anyways, well, with that being said, have a good one.